And then at the end, we'll be doing a bingo with all this information you've learned. So here's Miss Reynolds.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm very excited to be here. I'm Miss Reynolds. I teach the Living Earth, and I also teach the AP Environmental Science class here at Branham. So climate change is something that we talk about a lot. So I'm going to talk briefly about the science and some important concepts connected to it. All right, so the general idea of climate change is it happens naturally on Earth. The climate has changed many times in Earth's history. This particular climate change is taking place because of additional greenhouse gases. Those are gases in the atmosphere that retain excess heat. And different types of molecules hold different amounts of heat. And when they're trapped in our atmosphere at low levels, they're really important because they keep our atmosphere warm enough for life to survive. But at really high levels, it begins getting much hotter than our ecosystems are accustomed to, and that can have negative effects on it. When we talk about climate change, we hear about those greenhouse gases. The one that we hear about most often is carbon dioxide. It's not the only one, and it's not the most powerful one, but it is the most abundant one. And the primary source of that is with burning fossil fuels to make our electricity and also for our transportation. So the reason we focus on that one is because that's the one that we have easiest access to fixing or to limiting, even at the individual level. One of the big things that you'll hear a lot about when you hear about climate change are all the effects that it has. Now, since our climate this is a global issue, we're going to see it impact different places in different ways, and it creates positive feedback loops. And basically what that means is that one change is going to encourage more changes in the same direction. So for instance, if our ice melts, it means that less heat is reflected back into the atmosphere, and then the Earth gets hotter, which melts more ice, which reduces reflection, which makes it get hotter, which melts more ice. So it's more and more of the same changes going in the same direction. And we can see that in lots of different places on Earth. One with the sea level melting, another one with our permafrost melting, which is frozen dirt. And when that frozen dirt melts down, it releases methane and carbon dioxide, two different greenhouse gases. We can see it with the heating of the oceans. As the oceans get hotter, they expand and it increases the ice melting. It's also going to cause bigger storms to take place. So since this is a global issue, it affects all these different places around Earth a little bit differently. And that's when it gets really difficult to start finding solutions, because every location is going to be affected a little differently. And so there's not one answer on how to solve this problem. There are many, many answers. And we have to do many, many different things to help support different areas of our societies and our communities. So on that note, the bigness of climate change and the wide variety of people affected is one of the reasons why it's such a challenging problem to take on. Because not all countries are affected the same way. Some of them are going to be affected more than others. Some areas are going to get a lot hotter. Some areas are going to get colder. Some areas are going to get droughts. Others are going to get floods. And because of that variety, it makes it much harder to come up with a single policy that helps, or to come up with a particular law or a particular program that helps. It requires many programs working together in many countries in order to get something done. And as we all know, it's very difficult to get many places to agree with each other and to participate in some of these activities. but that is what it's going to take in order to make a difference. It's also going to require lifestyle changes because the world is changing and we're going to have to adapt to it. And a lot of collaboration, which is why things like this are so important, because it starts the conversation on how to collaborate, on how to make those changes to reduce these impacts from climate change. That's kind of climate change in a nutshell.